Good morning. Welcome to DadSchooled Today, we are going to talk about, man, it would be great if I had a different title just on top of my head so I can freak Jimmy out because he has the title and I would have said something way different. But anyways, raising resilient kids, helping them face failure, fear, and frustration. And there's one thing that I'm good at is helping my kids face failure, fear, and frustration.
I guess if you had thrown a whole nother different title at me, then we would have been testing my resiliency
and quitting failure.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's a common problem, whether you think about it or not. Is the whole how do you keep your kids motivated to not quit everything while keeping your dad cool and not sounding like a complete jerk, right? How to be that caring, supporting dad while also teaching them, life's not easy. It's gonna suck sometimes. Pick yourself up. How do you do that as a dad? So that's what we're gonna talk about today. Let's see. I don't have any probably earth-shattering, mind-blowing story, tear-jerking story from my kids having this issue. As a kid, I remember having the world's worst baseball tryout. Picture a kid in 6th or 7th grade who has never played a day of baseball in his life. Goes out for I don't even know what the different levels of teams are, but a top team goes out for tryouts on a top team because one of his friends at school said, "My dad coaches baseball. You should come try out." And I didn't know what that meant, so I showed up there, and it was painfully obvious I was not the best, and I failed miserably. I, at the very end, looked up at my dad. My dad's like, "Want to get some ice cream, champ?" And we did. And I didn't get on the team. I never asked about getting on the team because I knew I didn't get on the team. My dad didn't ever push it. That's my childhood experience of complete failure. It always will stick with me. My kids personally, there is a moment when one of my daughters, who plays cello, she was getting up to play for the first time in front of a group. And it was 20 people, maybe the most. And it was her first time ever playing cello in front of people. And she had a little bit of a breakdown. And as a dad, I looked at her just saying, "Come on, do it. Do it. Do it. You're good. Do it." And that's as far as I took it. My wife was the better parent and went up on stage with her and sat with her. And she played her piece. And then everyone clapped and she got off and we went home. So, yeah, I don't have any amazing input for this topic. I was really hoping that Jimmy did. Examples. Go ahead, Jimmy. What have you witnessed from your kid?
Oh, so many.
Personal.
So many. No, well, the stuff that pops in my mind initially when we want to talk about resiliency, I guess more broadly, is kind of the idea that it can come from a couple different avenues. It oftentimes, when we think of resiliency, we think about our own failures or the failures of our kids when they fail, and they gotta dust off the jeans, get back up and get back on the saddle again or whatever. That's kind of the idea. But resiliency could also refer to just how you respond to adversity in general. Whenever a curveball in life is thrown at you, how do you respond? What's your go-to thing? It's, I guess, the whole fight, flight, freeze are kind of the is that the three
fight or flight? I didn't know those freeze.
Yeah, fight, flight, or freeze. I sometimes am the freeze. I just kind of, but for me, it's I think I'm taking taking assessment of what's going on around me, and then
Didn't know that was an option. I'm just
and
like
then
fighting or running.
right, right, exactly, yeah.
You can stay still. That's an option.
But after you get through that challenging circumstance, whether it's from a failure that you caused or the failure of someone else or someone else just being ridiculous and causing challenge, what's your response to that? What direction do you
Yeah.
take it? So yeah, how do we train that up in our kids? That's a scary um idea as a parent, because that means you're putting your kid in a uncomfortable situation, you're putting your kid in a potentially dangerous situation, and as a parent, that's like against everything that's naturally wired into our brains. Like, no, I'm supposed to protect my children and make sure they're gonna live past their teens, um and I know for myself, even back in just my retail management days, I oftentimes was a sort of person, like, if I had that natural wiring in my brain of, if you want something done right, do it yourself sort of mentality. And I did that with my employees a lot at the beginning when I was beginning as a manager. I wanted my store to be amazing. And so I just made sure that if it was going to be done right, I just tackled it myself. Well, I wore myself out. My employees didn't know what they were doing because I never taught them. The store looked good, worked good, but it was all on my own shoulders, and that wasn't working. And I got pulled aside by my boss one time. They're like, yeah, if you just like spend a little time training up your employees, if you take a weekend with one employee to give them this one task, and then you don't ever have to do it again. You just monitor, observe, correct, and then let them excel. Or if they fail, then you break it down with them, and then keep it moving forward. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea, and it worked great, really, really, really well. So I've tried to keep that idea in the back of my head as a parent. Still, that my natural wiring of I know how to fit the dishes in the dishwasher in just the way that I can
Mhm.
maximize dishwasher load without wasting space. That's a skill of mine. Like the Tetris of the dishwasher or the Tetris of loading the car before a road trip. Like, I find pleasure in that. I enjoy packing the trunk of the car so that every square inch of every little space is filled with stuff. My kids love helping, but in the back of my head, I'm like, but that can't go there because I look at the pile of things we still have. So I have to like press that down. Okay, no, they're the way that they learn, it's like working out a muscle. It only gets stronger, it only builds if you have the opportunity to use it. And I know packing the car isn't necessarily adversity. For me, it can be if I'm letting someone else help me. Uh, but but
Jimmy takes his
but
road
yeah.
trips very seriously.
Oh, there, yes, very, 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 very serious. But yeah, sports is a great opportunity like you had when you were younger. Music and doing recitals or whatever. Our girls are both in dance, um, which can produce that adversity or challenge without it necessarily bringing up that catastrophic failure.
Mhm.
But it's something they're going every week, trying, learning a new move or learning a new routine or whatever. And finding ways like that you can bring those sorts of experiences in for your kid um, can be challenging to think about, but we're getting there. Yeah.
Oh, you brought up a couple points I didn't think about. Like the dishwasher. Okay. The dishwasher. I had a conversation just yesterday with one of my daughters, and their chores. My 3 older kids have some decent chores that we found that they can do, and we don't like want to hurt ourselves because they do it so terribly. But the hard part is to get them to do it consistently. And they have a rotation that goes every single week. And one of them is emptying the dishwasher. And I was just thinking yesterday, like, why isn't part of this loading the dishwasher? And I said that. It's like, did you load the dishwasher? I was just trying to be, funny. Because I said, did you do your chores? She's like, yes. Yeah, dishes? Yes. Did you load them back up? She's like, no, I can't do that. So she said, I can't do that. And she's only 11, almost 12. And I'm like, you can't do that. What if I had $5 million and said, it's yours if you can load the dishwasher? She says, well, then I'll figure it out. And I was like, well, why can't you have that attitude with everything you do? Like, I'll figure it out. But no, you're just like, I can't do that. So, yeah, that was something that got planted in my head last night that I'm going to be working on with her and other kids, because that attitude of like, I can't do that. Yeah, but I can figure it out. That should be the first action they have. I can figure it out. And I think that might be part of like my fault. Like I should be helping foster that attitude. So I got to figure out ways to do that. I think that's gonna be a fun journey, and we'll talk about some of that in this episode. Actually, the second thing you mentioned, actually, back to the dishwasher. This one's actually a interesting point. I don't like doing dishes, but I do them every single night. And part of it's like, if I don't do it, no one else does. Part of it's doing it like I heard at one of these homeschool conventions a long time ago that if you just make sure the dishes are done and the sink's clear in the morning, your wife will be happier. And my wife has like directly told me that it stresses her out if there's dishes in the dishwasher in the sink. And I'm like, huh, that's a very simple thing I can do. And now I struggle with some of the weird dishes, like the big water bottles and the big pots. I might just push them to the side and do the main dishes and clear the sink and have like one or two on the side that I just didn't want to do. I could have done, but I didn't want to do them last night. But I think my main fear about having someone else do the dishes is the plastic melting. Believe it or not. Like I have had like our dishwasher, I think is like a lot of other people's dishwashers. If you put things on the wrong rack, you're gonna lose them.
Yeah.
You put the Tupperware on the bottom rack, you're gonna lose them because the heating element's on the bottom, right? And as a dad, I'm like very strict about that. Like, this goes on top, this goes in the middle. This does not get washed at all. You know, you gotta hand wash this one. Anyways, we're getting off topic. That's like my fear. Like, I don't mind if someone messes up the dishes, but don't mess up the plastic. Don't mess up our Tupperware. That's kind of like that's a permanent mistake that's expensive
That
to replace.
Tupperware that has 10 years of spaghetti stain on it, we cannot lose that. Like it's like it enhances the flavor, and you don't
If you
want to
break it
lose.
down, like it's what, $5 for a 3-pack of those? Like, it's not the end of the world. You gotta buy a new one, but we hold on to it for so long where it's like we can't get rid of this. We can't throw it. It's stained. It has character, you know. And our pastor actually talked about this the other week. He's like, you don't bring out your stained stuff for the nice family, you know, for nice events. You bring out the nice china.
Right.
I don't know. Okay, off topic. Then I had to touch on the car loading thing because that triggered something in my mind too. I hate loading the car. Who likes loading the car? But then it's like, oh no, but in a sense, like I have to do it because if it's done wrong, it'll drive me absolutely nuts. Like if someone just stacks things up willy-nilly and they're not using every ounce of space you can, you have holes and gaps on the bottom, and you're covering up my window screen when I'm trying to drive, you did it wrong. So it's like, yeah, that's the only reason. I don't have a good reason why. Like someone else could do it. Maybe I'll try that. Man, that's my takeaway from today is someone else is going to load the dang car next time. I'm just going to deal with it.
Good luck with that.
And I'll make comments like, I can't see out the back window very well, can I? I don't know. That'd be a jerk move, maybe. Moving forward. So when your kids do things, and you said sports. Sorry, I'm gonna back up 1 second. Sports is another great example because my kids have been in soccer. Let's see, soccer. All three of them, soccer. Everyone's in soccer. The 3 oldest are in volleyball now, and soccer. Like I witnessed our teams get destroyed, right? And I witnessed like. Not trying to be mean, but my kids aren't like the star athletes going out, and they'll admit it. Like they know they're not the best on the field. It'd be interesting to be a parent to a kid who is, because I've never experienced it, which is not a bad thing. It's just how it is. You know, I accept that they contribute, and my thought is, as long as they're not the worst one that scores like on their own goal, and everyone, the whole place is like, oh, that's my only like want as a parent is not to be the worst one out there. But as long as they're having fun and, you know, they're not hurting anybody, they're having fun. Now, we've had some volleyball games where it's been absolutely crushed. Like they had, like we're talking, what is it? They played a 25-3 or 25-4, and the only reason they had 3 or 4 points is because there's a 5-point rule that got switched to them again after they fail. It's been bad. So what, as a parent, what do? You make jokes about that? Do you like try to cheer them up? You tell them, we all know if you practice harder, you'd be better. how do you handle that? You should say that last one. Last one's not good. But yeah, so we're raising kids who can't handle no or a loss or a tough day. We don't want to do that. We want to raise kids who can handle these things and move forward and not be complete messes their whole life. So how do we do that? First of all, like we always should, let's take our biblical glasses and put them on. Right? You ready, Jimmy? Put your glasses on. Okay, we're on. Okay, so Romans 5:3-4. Not only that, but we rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope. Okay, that's important. Okay, because as dads, we teach our kids to see challenges as opportunities to grow rather than reasons to quit. So when something bad happens, you got to teach your kids, what do we learn from this? How can we be better next time? I mean, my kids are big video gamers. I constantly tell them, okay, we got destroyed in that round. What did we do wrong? And their answer is like, we were just terrible. Yes, we were terrible. But how can we make it better? What can we change? Because you do the same thing over and over again, expect this, different results. That's like the definition of insanity, isn't it? So we meet trials, various kinds. That's guaranteed in life. You're not gonna have an easy ticket. No one's gonna pave the way for you. So you have to learn how to adapt and deal with these trials. That's part of being a human, part of being a parent, part of being a kid. And as a kid, you gotta learn it. Some adults don't even learn this until they're much older. Some adults never learn this. Some adults think that they should have everything handed to them all the time. But we know it's not true. We who's listening to this podcast and we who are on this podcast. So it's our jobs to instruct better than that. Man, we have a lot to talk about now. We're gonna move forward. Sorry, I'm getting off topic a lot today. Jimmy's just like, come on, Josh, bring it back in. Bring it back in, Josh.
It's all good.
All right, so where were we? Oh yeah, so God doesn't shield us from trials. He uses them to grow us, right? So Jimmy will talk now about resilience as a life skill.
Which, I mean, we've hit on a lot of that. Honestly, something popped into my mind. We just had an opportunity or an example that we were both tangentially a part of with our kids. Our church youth group had a kickball night recently, and both of us learned our kids need to know more about baseball. I mean, that's just not something. My girls haven't played softball. We've gone to a couple baseball games in life. It's not something I have on the TV like regularly and explaining this is how it goes or anything like that. But it was very obvious leading up to it. I was like, I should pull up some YouTube videos on this is how base running works and how outs happen and all that sort of stuff. I was like, we need to kind of start layering in some of those skills because they don't play kickball at recess since we're a homeschool family. Yeah. Our co-op Foursquare is the game at our co-op that we go to. That's all anyone ever wants to play. So there's skill and knowledge that I have not successfully imparted onto my children. So going into it, I wanted to make sure that I tried to set her up with at least the basic skills and knowledge, knowing that once she got in there, she still probably wasn't going to have much of a clue, and that was okay. And so we just encouraged about, having fun, pay attention to what's going on around you. And she was very resilient in that evening. Because I was afraid that she would, kind of just totally shrink back and be way off in the corner and just like, I have no clue. But she stepped up in there and wasn't the most active on the field. But she was more active than I was thinking she was. And when it was her turn to bat and kicking that ball, like, she attacked it and she ran to the base and she did great. So it was a lot of fun. And she's already looking forward to when they do it again next year. And we're like, yeah, we should maybe go to a baseball game before the summer's over so that you can see the professionals.
So here's my turn, Jimmy. Okay, here's my turn on this. I was at that same kickball game. I didn't witness this personally because my wife and I went and actually stepped away and played pickleball. But I heard about this after the fact, and I took a different approach than Jimmy did. Going into this kickball game, I assumed my child knew the basic rules of baseball. Okay, because not just a week or two ago, we went to a local baseball game or our home, a lower league team. We have a little stadium by our house. We took our family there and they watched the baseball game. He asked a lot of questions. And I was like, okay, he doesn't know anything about baseball. It came very apparent in that game because he was asking questions about the scoring and how, what happens next, what they're doing. I'm like, this is pretty cool. He's learning. He's asking questions. I'm answering them. I'm not an expert, but I know the rules, right? Because I watched enough on TV, I think. And we watched I think it was one game. We tried to stay for a second one, but the kids lost interest, so we went home. I assumed, and I was like, he's good. So my son, fully knowing his own knowledge of this sport, took it upon himself to look up some YouTube videos on how to play this game and how to what was it about. And he said he watched one. Not sure how much of it he watched, because when it came time to kick, he kicks and he gets on first base and he, yay, much rejoicing. The next person kicks. This is where the wheels fell off the bus. Okay. The next person kicks, and my son, instead of running to second base, continues running into the outfield along the line.
Following the foul line.
Yeah, he thought I went all the way around the whole big area. I didn't know that you go to the little inside bases. And I want to really this was a church event, and it could have been really bad for him. It could have been terrible. They could have ripped him up. They could have tore him down. I have no idea what happened at the moment because I wasn't there. I was playing pickleball, like any good supporting parent would be doing. Said cheering their kid on kickball. I was playing pickleball. I came back after the fact, and one of the parents told me, and it was a little bit of a laugh, a chuckle, and I was kind of holding my breath when he came back in, because then I'm like, "Hey, I heard some things, son," and he's like, "Yeah, that happened." And I was asking him, like, will people, do they help you? Did they call out, hey, run this way? No, no one did. They let him run. But after that, no one made fun of him, which I was really happy about. It could have been really bad.
Yeah.
As a parent, you're guarded. You don't want your kid to be made fun of or feel bad. That's your job, to make them feel bad and make fun of them. To a sense, you can't be too harsh. But yeah, it was a church event, so he was really lucky and fortunate that it wasn't like the public school, where it would have been known for years as the greatest kickball move of all time. Just keep on going. Anyways, but yeah,
he was looking for a glitch in the matrix. He's thinking he's gonna outsmart everyone, thinking of a new strategy.
Yeah, so looking at the two strategies here, Jimmy's strategy of sitting down with his kids, actually showing them the rules and going over things so they're well prepared, versus my strategy of, nah, they'll figure it out. And I honestly didn't even think there would be a problem. But
yeah,
that translates. And now that I hear this about kickball, I'm going to be a little more on guard, I think, going forward. Now, the secret or the thing you got to be careful of is not to be that hover parent, the chopper parent,
Yeah.
The one that's like, hey, did you pack your toothbrush? Hey, did you change your underwear? Say that in front of their friends, because you can't do that. That some things the kid has to learn on their own. Like if you don't have the right underwear, you're not gonna have underwear. That's a lesson we all learn, right? But
It's an
relationships,
unfortunate
faith,
lesson to learn.
yeah, it is. The academics, okay. So as a homeschool dad, I get to see front row when my kid does not prepare for something in school. We don't have many quizzes and tests, but we have them still. You have to assess the learning somehow. And the curriculums we use do have little quizzes or self-assessments so we can gauge how they're picking this up. And there are times when you see those results, and you're like, "Ooh, man, you did not prepare, dude." And they're like, yeah. Or they try to like, I studied. It's like, did you now? Did you now? Or they had that presentation that they just did not prepare for. And as a parent, a homeschool parent, you get to see that, and you're just like, and your words matter at that moment. Like how you address that matters. Are you gonna tear them down? Are you gonna belittle them? I probably shouldn't do that, correct? But it matters how you respond to that in the moment. And relationship, faith, all these things. And here's the big question: how as parents do we teach this? A lot of things we can't like directly address unless we awkwardly bring up that topic, right? Like, let's just, for relationships purpose, what kid wants to talk to the parents about relationships? So how do you go about teaching that? The answer is you model it in your own life. You model treating your spouse correctly in your own life, or being treated correctly in your own relationship, or allowing yourself to stand up to someone treating you incorrectly. That teaches your kids just as much as treating someone nicely is how you respond to someone treating you poorly. Because if you don't allow it, and you say, this is not okay, this is not normal to be talked to this way, to be touched this way, whatever the circumstance is, as a parent, even a dad, getting talked down to by a spouse, that's also important. People don't think about that, but it does happen. There are stronger willed female participants in the family that will talk down to a dad, sometimes. And it's your job as a dad to teach your kids, hey, this is not okay too. And that's a tricky situation, because how do you maintain your masculinity while you do that? How do you not look like a complete weak doofus while you do that? There's ways. When I figure them out, I'll tell you guys. There's ways. And just for clarification, I don't deal with these issues, or I have some great answers for you. But I know there are people who deal with that. And please, if you do have these situations in your life, reach out to someone. It's an important thing to not go at it alone. But bringing it all back in, modeling to your kids is like one of the best ways that you can teach them. With our faith, with our relationships, sports. I don't play sports, but how can I, as a dad not playing sports, model that to my kids? I can try things. I can do things recreationally for fun. I get out and play pickleball. I'm not the best player, but I still go do it. If I didn't do something, if I sat at home all day, that'd be modeling laziness and not perseverance. So, academics, I've admitted. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, both me and you like tend to do different house projects, fixing up different things. And so them observing how we respond whenever it's not going exactly how we planned.
Like every single time.
Accidentally put the sawzall through the middle of the board going down, all
that happened. They're like, so I think
they observe.
We're creating a false sense of how long projects should take in our house sometimes, but I think they get that. they get why.
Yeah. But they're watching. They're observing, how we respond to those sorts of things, and those can be great, fun opportunities for bringing kids into a moment and allowing them to get their hands dirty with something new, something different, and stuff like that. I think our generation in general, I think, has maybe had a tendency of being, you kind of touched on it a little earlier, being kind of the helicopter parents maybe
Yes.
being a little too coddling sometimes. I think on the broad sense, that's kind of happened with a lot of the younger kids that are coming up that don't know how to face a challenge well, or when faced with a challenge, how to respond well. We've had a series of years of everyone gets a giant trophy, even if all you did was happen to pull your pants up and walk in the door that day. You
Yep.
get a trophy, and you are amazing. You're the most amazingest ever, just because you're still breathing, and we've stripped away some of that, some healthy competition, and it doesn't have to be about cramming other people down, or making them feel terrible whenever they don't succeed or get the first place prize or something. But facing challenge and adversity, we've I think inadvertently stripped away a lot of those natural opportunities, from kids these days, and so trying to be mindful of that. Yeah.
Where's that come from? Like, take a step back and think about where that
Huh?
comes from. The helicopter parent philosophy comes from a parent or a person who experienced adversity and didn't handle it correctly, or weren't taught how to handle it correctly, or it wasn't modeled for them correctly in their own household. So, I mean, the whole you can paint with a wide paintbrush on this topic, but like a kid does bad in sports, grows up, and he wants everyone to feel good about participating in sports because he did bad. So that's where you get the everyone
Mhm.
gets a trophy philosophy. And then after that, there's like you have these hyper focused groups of we just playing to have fun versus we want to be the best we can. That mentality, being the best you can and being like the top player, has only been maintained by those parents who might have had their parents wailing on them about being the top player and you're not worth anything until that, that's a whole nother problem. Then you have the kid. This goes across the whole board. Like everyone wins.
Well, have
Don't
you ever
don't don't hit your kids because you got your butt beat so severely as a kid that
right?
you promised yourself you'd never do it to your kids. So when your kids acted up, they didn't learn the correct correction or the correct like authority respect level of their parents because you never enforced anything with them because you were letting them get away with everything because you didn't want to be the mean parent that you had. I mean, lots of different things you can go down the
There's
spectrum.
a philosophy that's out there. It's a popular meme that floats around from time to time, but it's called the four turnings. So
Yeah.
maybe you've heard it put in this way: of hard times create strong men create good times then creates weak men, and
Hmm.
weak men create hard times. And it doesn't have to just be about men,
Hmm.
but it's like, have
Equal.
we been through one of those periods of time where we had it good a while ago, a little bit ago, and so we've gotten weak, and now the weak people, are we the weak people, are creating bad times, and so now the bad times, there's maybe an opportunity. It's called the fourth turning. Is there a new opportunity on the horizon that all of the hard times that have been we've been going through, we have an opportunity to create new, strong, resilient people? So that's a hope, that maybe that's something on the horizon.
Yeah, and then you talked about memes, and then there's like the other one, like the one that hits your emotions and is meant to do that, of the parent yelling at the kid, and the kid or the older parent yelling at the younger parent, and it's like bad vibes, badness coming in, and that person hears it, and then they yell at the next person, and it goes down, and then there's one layer that like shields it, and they just put like rainbows and flowers into their kids and the kids look happy,
Yeah, yeah,
now that on the surface that makes you feel good, but to your point, like if we're blocking our kid from all the bad things in life, and if we're
yeah.
not going to be helping them deal with the negative, this flower kid's going to have nothing but rainbows in their eyes their entire lives. They're not in any time of failure or anything harsh attacks them. It's going to be that much more painful because they don't have any mechanism in their past to deal with that.
Mhm.
So that's how I look at that picture, Lisa. Then maybe it's a negative way to look at it, but it's like you're not making your kid strong enough.
No, yeah, it's how do we help put tools in their toolbox? You want to put it in a good dad phrase.
Tools in the toolbox. How do you make the right kind of brownies, right?
That's right.
So common ways we can well, I mean, let's just broadly talk about that. Like how can we equip our kids? What's the best ways we can do that? I guess letting them fail in small, safe ways to help build that up. Don't let them don't protect them the entire life, and then have them. That's a good analogy here. So we don't want to not teach our kids about savings and credit cards and all the debt things in life, and then kick them out the door, give them a credit card, get a student loan for them, send them off to college, and say good luck. That's literally what happened to us as kids, right? Like no one taught us about that stuff in school. No one
Financial
told us.
literacy.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there might have been signs, but as kids, we ignore them. We gotta equip our kids. It sounds stupid to do what I just said by just like giving them debt and kicking out the door and saying good luck if we didn't teach them anything, right? So we need to equip them with the right knowledge, and to do that, you need to start small. You can't start at too late. You can't start when they're too old because that's too late. You gotta start when they're smaller. If you are listening to this podcast and you don't have any small kids and you have older kids that you've already done this to, hope is not lost, because knowing this, you can still address things and have conversations with them still. But let them fail small, let them recover, ask them questions about why they think they failed. Try to be informative and factual in your explanation to them on why they failed. Don't be demeaning, don't be belittling in your response. And that's very easy to do. Like someone trips over something in a parking lot and you look at them and says, why did you fall? And you have them answer instead of like, you tripped over that thing, you dumb little, you don't need to be mean about it. You can help them learn from their mistakes without making them feel stupid.
I love the concept and the idea of a fail-safe. Like
Mm-hmm.
in the world of engineering, a fail-safe is a mechanism or device or something that's built in that has maybe some leeway or parameters where failure can happen, but set up in such a specific way that it prevents a catastrophic failure.
Yeah.
So it allows you to pick up the pieces and move forward much quicker than if you did not have that fail safe in place. It's like I used to love doing rock climbing, did a lot of that, and working on ropes courses and all that sort of stuff. You're climbing up high, you're in a dangerous position. Well, guess what? You're on a rope. So if you
Mm-hmm.
fall, you let go. That rope is your fail safe. It's going to keep catastrophe from happening to you. So how can we build these kinds of experiences in with our kids? Where we're giving them, a bit of rope, we're giving them some leash, letting them go and try something new. But can we set up parameters, set up an experience to where when they do fail, it's easy to just go back to a checkpoint like you do in an old video game. Like, okay, well, I passed this checkpoint. I can just go back a few steps, pick right back up where I was, and then keep moving forward, keep progressing. I latched onto that idea of failsafe a long time ago, and I think that's something that we can um, mentally build into our toolbox, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever like thought of it that way before, but thinking about it that way now, I think a good fail safe, and correct me if I went the wrong direction with this, Jimmy, but a good fail safe would be building that trust with your kids so they know that no matter how much they mess up, you still love them. As
Yeah.
mushy and smushy as that sounds, as a dad, we don't want our kids to ever feel like they messed up and they have to hide from us. That's what I mean.
Mhm.
That happened in the very first, Adam and Eve. They messed up. The first thing they did was hide. That's a bad thought. Not saying that like anything we can do off the bat will change that natural instinct to hide from our not just we're not creators, God is, but like our authority figure, because we don't want to get in trouble, right? So how do you foster that knowledge in your kid that they can mess up and still come back to you. And a lot of that has to do with your responses to their failures. If you
Mhm.
always respond by yelling or demeaning or just making it terrible experience for them, they don't learn and they don't feel like they can fail, then they're not going to want to tell you they failed, and then they'll hide things from you, and then your relationship will get thinner and thinner, and you'll see less failures from them because they won't show them to you, but they're still happening, and they're not dealing with them correctly because they don't have a support safety net like Jimmy just talked about. So that really actually hit pretty hard with me when you just said that. I was like, that's really important, and that's and unless you're talking about a completely different safety net than that, then you
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
did I nail it?
That's good. Yeah. I
That's
mean,
good.
catastrophe is, you just want to be able to not have something that completely wipes out what you have going on, and wiping out your relationship with your kids. That would be a terrible thing to come
Yeah.
to. So, yeah.
Okay. So we talked about this a little bit already, but like, how do you model coping with issues? That's that's on us. You know, it's how we respond to things. We kind of touched on that earlier already. Um, Celebrate the effort more than the outcome. Now, I have mixed feelings about this one because I hate the parents who are like, "Yay, you did
That's almost the
this."
whole everyone gets the trophy sort of
I
thing.
know
Can be.
it
Yeah.
borderlines that, but you know there's a light touch to that you could still do
Yes.
that I think is
Uh-huh.
needed, and it's like think of this scenario: your kid tries to make a basket with the basketball, right? And they pick up the ball, they throw the ball at the hoop, and they get close, but don't even touch the hoop, right? And the two responses the dad can have is that sucked, you know, or hey, that's a good try. How about you try it again? You know, saying, hey, good try isn't like, isn't lying to your kid. It isn't doing anything bad. It isn't saying get a trophy because you tried, everyone wins. It's saying, hey, I acknowledge your effort. Or I acknowledge that you did something. Because that's what the kid does something and they do like this. They're like, they look for your response. They look right at you every single
Mhm.
time. They want to see, did dad see that? Did mom see that? Because that I did something, you know, yay. So yeah, hey, good try. Do it again. Do it better. You know, you can say that. That's not a problem. But
Well, that's why even the greatest athletes still have their own individual coaches that help them with mechanics,
mhm,
whether it's their golf swing, their batting swing, their follow through when shooting free throws, whatever they got going on. They've got someone that's helping them with those little things because they don't just want the pat on the back of "Hey, good job" or "Oh, you'll get it next time." Like that doesn't actually help them be great. They could still be naturally good, but how do they reach greatness? They work on the little things with encouragement and critique and digging into the details. And as a parent, we can, when our kids are doing something, we don't have to just give them the sugary, sweet, sappy, "Oh, I'm so proud of you," and that's it. And that's all I give you. But like, hey, I'm really proud of you. Good job. Now let's fine tune it. Let's polish it. Let's sharpen it. And that's an environment that takes time to develop and to have that trust that your kid has in you. To trust, like, okay, my dad is giving me some critique, giving me advice, giving me some new coaching, and this isn't a they're ripping me up one side and down the other because I did terrible and I didn't meet their expectations, but they want to see me excel. They want to see me do great. That takes building trust with your kid. But that's what the best do is they work on even the smallest little details, and as a dad we can step in that gap and help be part of that journey for our kids.
exactly. So, as we wrap it up, what can you do this week? What can you do as a dad? Um, while while you're just talking there, Jimmy, I have like the worst idea ever, and I gotta say it because
Love it.
don't do this, but do this, guys. What if we had like two calls to action this week? One was like, first of all, everything your kid does, be like, "Oh, I That's so good. Good job. Just say that to your kids on everything they do. And the other call to action would be actually doing it correctly. Let your kids face challenges. Pick one thing that your kid, maybe identify a thing that your kid is doing this week that's hard, and in your own mind set up a plan on how you will respond if they failed at it, if the worst happens, and how you'll respond if the best happens. Because both scenarios, you need to respond correctly, right? So plan ahead. This week is your challenge to respond correctly to a positive or a negative experience your kid is having this week. Because that matters, and that's what this whole show is about today, is how you're responding to your kids and building them up, cutting them down. What are you doing? Are you there for them? That's the first thing. We always say that, don't we? Make sure you're there for your kids. Put your dang phone down. Be there. Be present. So that's your call to action, is to proactively, I guess you call it, think about that thing your kid's going through this week and how you're going to respond to that. Because if you wait till it happens, you might get it wrong. Let's think ahead of it. Think get ahead of the curve. Think ahead of the action. And then, as always, we want to hear about this. So, as you encounter these issues, or if you've encountered things in the past that you responded good or bad to, we want to hear about it. Go to DadSchoolPodcast.com, scroll to the bottom, and fill out the form and tell us all about your experience. Find us on Facebook. Find us on YouTube. We're even on Twitch. People don't know that, but we're on Twitch. And you definitely should meet up with us on Twitch and talk to us. So, closing thoughts, Jimmy. Last chance.
Be there.
Be there. Or
be not there.
Be or not be there. Right. So that's your two options. Be there or don't be there. Which one are you going to choose?
That's right.
We probably shouldn't give them the
I really got to put I got to put more thought into these closing lines.
Yes. We're going to have like moms writing in. He just left us. He had two options. He wasn't there. It's like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So have a good week. We'll see you next week, and stay there. Stay present.
Do it.